Hello, 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 hello again. This is Willie Cartwright with From Saved to Sane. I'm here with you today for our latest installment of From Saved to Sane. Happy to have all of you with me today. Those of you who are live, chime in. Please send me a message. Let me know that you're on here with me today and that you can hear me and that the audio is as well. Secondly, those of you who will join later or who will see this on the replay or see this later, hello to all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and when you see this. So we are glad to have all of you here today. We have a guest. We have a special. Let me see. How can I say this? How about I just show you who it is? So this is Taisha has joined us today. Taisha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry I can't put my face on. I'm actually
That's all right.
talking around, but I am here. I promised you. It's so good to be here. And greetings to everyone and Mrs. Save to Sane as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And so, as I always do before we get started, let me, as I do every time we get together, say a big thank you to two people. The first one, obviously, she's on here now, so that's Taisha. Big thank you to Taisha. I will always be thankful for you for getting me on this platform and getting me going, and much appreciation to you. And I tell all of you to please support her on her channels and the things that she's doing. She's doing some amazing things, not only in this space, but in some other spaces out there as well. And I also, as I always do, say thank you to my lovely wife, Salima, for all of her support and everything that she is doing to support me. She says she's my number one fan, and absolutely she is. So I'm very much appreciative to these two women, Taisha and my wife Salima. So thank you very much, and we are happy to have Taisha with us today. Uh, Again, if you're out there, if you've joined us, please chime in, send me a text, let me know that you're there. Send us some comments and some questions as we get into today's topic. So, today's topic, the negative consequences of Christianity. And anytime, Taisha, you have a comment, please chime in. I know you have it on mute now. I think you say you're cooking, but anytime you have a comment, absolutely, please. Um, so, yeah.
Great,
Um,
great topic. I cannot wait to see what you have in store.
Well, thank you. I always begin these topics these days with kind of giving the background of how I came up with the topic or where the topic originated from or where the topic came from. In this particular case, the negative consequences of Christianity, we've talked before a variation of this, maybe more than once. But specifically today, what brought this out was what's going on between Israel and Palestine and Hamas, and more specifically, I have a class of young people that I'm teaching intro to religion at a school here in Atlanta, in downtown Atlanta, and we talked about this. What I try to do in the class is that I try to make religion relatable to them. I have them doing a couple of assignments every week that uh, they come back and they report on something that they've experienced, religious or spiritually related, that maybe they would have overlooked before they took this class. Because I want to show them how religion plays such a pivotal role in all of our lives, regardless of what we believe, regardless of what we don't believe, and how it plays a pivotal role in our life, and it affects all of us in so many different ways. And so, what happened with Israel and Palestine was a perfect opportunity to engage the students in that. Hello, Jay Jammin. Glad to have you. Appreciate you joining us here. If you have any comments or questions, absolutely. Greetings to you, and please put the comments or questions into the chat, and we will get to those as well. So, Like what I was saying about the students. So this was an excellent opportunity to engage the students in the conversation about um, Israel and Palestine and what's going on there and the original causes of all of this, which gets back the root of it, at least in part, is religiously based. And so we had that discussion, and I was explaining to them sort of the origins of this when Israel became Israel in 1948. Prior to that, that land mostly belonged to the people of Palestine, and because this group of people, the Jews, quote unquote, said that we believe that this God, our God, has told us that this land is ours, and we're due to have this land. This is in part the basis for some of this that's going on now. And so, much like the colonizers did here in the United States, they moved in, took over land that wasn't theirs, and moved the original people or people who were there, moved them out, much like the colonizers did to the Native Americans here. Now, this is not, I'm not pulling on either side. I'm just giving you the facts and the reality of what's going on, at least in part of what's going on. Again, let me say that what was done by Hamas to the people of Israel was absolutely atrocious. It is something that the world cannot stand for. It was absolutely atrocious when you look at the women and the kids and all the people that were harmed and killed. It is absolutely. So I want to make that perfectly clear before I get a bunch of people coming on here saying things. I'm pro Hamas, or I'm not concerned about the innocent people of Israel. Absolutely. I am a humanitarian, so I am concerned about all people. Which is one of the reasons why we are having this conversation, because all people also includes the people of Palestine, the innocent people of Palestine as well. And so we go on. So we have this conversation. The students are asking questions. Obviously, they're not old enough, or at least astute enough at this point, informed. I should say informed enough, not astute enough. They're very, very, very intelligent group of students, young students. They're not informed enough as to what's going on, and so I use that as an opportunity to show them how religion plays a part in their life, even when they don't think that it's a part of their life. As long as this continue, they will see this for the rest of their life, and as they matriculate through life. So I talked about some of the additional effects of this. Obviously, we see what's going on. It's in the news. We see the war. We see the fighting, the harm that's coming to innocent people on both sides. Then we also talk about the United States involvement from a financial and military standpoint. Our tax money is being used to support some of this that's going on, whether it be to sending over military weapons or sending them money, something that we've always done, or at least have done for a long time to Israel anyway. And so that's some of the things. And then the things that you hear, the polarity of what's going on here in this country, people on either side of the issues. So you're going to see and hear all of that as well. So again, I wanted to express upon them how religion affects us and some of the negative consequences in this case, religion in general. And so, but also Christianity, because this is, this is the Hebrew people are obviously Jewish, and so this is the umbrella of religion. But us here as Christians in the United States, and I had my students to understand this, part of what we're talking about here is Christians believing that certain things have to be in place or happen to the Jewish people or for the Jewish people in order for the second coming. That is the Christian biblical foundation, in part as to why we blindly follow what's going on or follow Israel or whatever. In part, that's not the whole story by any means, it's just imagination. But for some people, some lay people who maybe not in politics, the lay people, the everyday people who are evangelicals, Christians, it is absolutely to them religiously based. It is absolutely about our connection to the Jews and when I say our, talking about evangelical Christians in this country, some of their belief that The Jews have to be in place in their land in Israel before is one of the things that has to happen before the second coming. There's a whole lot into that, a whole lot about Jews not believing Jesus is the Messiah, so forth and so. At least most of them, the non Messiah Jews, Mosaic Jews. Messianic Jews, let me say it right, the non-Messianic Jews who don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. So it's a lot that go into that. But for us here, part of the support, part of the lay support that we give or attribute for Israel or to Israel is in part due to the belief of a lot of evangelicals and Christians here in this country that we must protect Israel at all costs. Israel must maintain their land at all costs in order for the second coming to happen, the second coming of Jesus or the Messiah to come. And so that is the religious part of it. And I wanted my students to see that and understand that and how that's going to affect the rest of their lives. And so that's where we are on that. Let me ask Taisha, you have any comments or comments about any of that before we go further?
Oh no, like I said, I know that what's happening overseas is going on. It's just I choose to detach from it. I'm a veteran, so I choose at this stage of my life to not watch CNN and keep up with that stuff. But I do know it's happening. I just choose to not engage and detach from it. So I really don't have too much to add on that part.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have, with the exception of the religious piece to it, I'm like you, trying to detach and disengage from all of that. But I thought it was a great opportunity for my students to learn a lesson. Secondly, one of the other things that, and this is directly related to it, I read an article just I think yesterday this happened. So a group of students at Harvard decided to do a anti-Israel protest at Harvard. Um, and when
Oh wow.
the corporate people who are yeah, but when the corporate people who are associated with Harvard found out about this, they threatened to have the students blacklisted, and they wanted a name of all of the students who participated in this anti-Israel protest. And so I asked my students in class, is this something that you would be in favor of? Is this a violation of your freedom of speech, or why is this happening? Why do you think that this is happening? And so most of them voiced their opinion as being opposed to the blacklisting. They thought it was a infringement on the free speech violation of these students. As long as the protests were not violent, they felt that the corporate people were wrong for threatening to blacklist the students.
That kind of sucks because yeah, you do have that protected speech, as long as you're not you know saying threats or anything like that. But yeah, this it should be protected speech, but also too, this is one of those consequences that we know. Do does everyone have protected speech? Because we've seen in this era of social media, people who have completely separate lives, who make comments outside of their job, outside of work hours, but yet it still comes back to affect their livelihood. So is speech really protected? And with the whole thing with the book shared by, what is it, Kyrie Irving, just
Yes.
share the book title, but it's certain people, certain groups you cannot talk about. Certain groups are now protected, so you really can't say anything. It's not protected speech for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And so these students, obviously, clearly going into an institution like Harvard, who is one of those Ivy League institutions that is a direct pipeline to some of the greatest jobs and the best jobs and the best
Yeah,
political positions here in this country.
it's ran by.
Um, what's that?
I said there's a lot of money back in the school, the name, and those who are there. I mean, there are presidents who are Harvard alumni, so you can't upset those with the pockets you want to get into.
And so it's one of those things, as you know, it's two sides of it. The first side of it is, yeah, you want to have your freedom to do whatever, but number two, you have to understand where you are, the power of these institutions, and more importantly, and I think goes directly to what happened, or what may happen to these students, is the endowment and where the endowment is coming from, or in part where the endowment is coming from. And so this may be more of a thing of Harvard protecting its endowment, knowing that that Jewish people are probably a large part of this endowment, and obviously they don't want to run the risk of offending them to endanger their endowment. And so again, it's about knowing, where you are, when to speak, and it's funny because I am experiencing a little bit of that where I am now, because not only am I a teacher, I'm also a student. And I have some other grad students with me that are younger and have not experienced life uh, as I have. And so I'm always quick to caution them about stepping out and fighting every battle. I'm not telling them from the standpoint of what I've heard. I'm telling them from the standpoint of what I have experienced myself around their age, in my 20s and early 30s. I maybe would have been one of these students at Harvard. I certainly did my share of protest in both undergrad and the one year I spent in law school. So I understand the consequences of doing something like this. And so I try to impart that information, that advice onto other students in the graduate program. And so go ahead, Taisha.
No, I'm saying that is great because yeah, with wisdom, like when you're young, you're a charge. You have all this energy. You want to go charge. You want to conquer the world. You're taught, we are the world. But then, with this raw energy, you have to, I don't want to say tame it, but you kind of have to pick and choose those
Mhm.
battles and how you do it. Especially when you're a part of an institution or something that is going to look out for their best interests and you are disposable, it's
Mhm.
great that you are sharing this wisdom to them. So wonderful.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. And again, it goes back to me, and I explain this to my students. I wanted my students to understand, to see um, the power of a group, the power of a maybe a protected religious group, or a religious group who has that kind of power or authority. And so that's really what it come down to. And so again, the negative consequences of Christianity, or negative consequences of religion. In this case, for those students, this might be one of those negative consequences because they're not able to freely speak out without endangering their economic or political future that they worked so hard to achieve, and making it into Harvard. Um, Jay Jamin said, "My opinion is this group is indies." I'm not understanding that. I'm sorry, Jay Jamin. Then Jay Jamin said, "They have been bullying and stealing from the beginning." Uh, Clara, when you said they, I'm not sure. Let me know what you mean by they, and then we can go from there. Absolutely. So who are they? Um, and so yeah, and so I wanted to talk about that, and then we talk about, and so I wanted to talk about some other things that we find that are negative consequences of Christianity. And the reason why, let me go back, because I get this from people all the time. Why do you focus on Christianity? Why not Islam? Why not whatever? For me, they're pretty much all in the same boat. However, I talk more about what I know about. I spent most of my life, um, 4/5 of my life in Christianity. My mother was a minister. Um, I've been studying and reading ever since I denounced Christianity. It has been all that I have been doing, reading, researching, and studying about, on top of the 40 years that I spent in Christianity. So I talk about what I know about. But however, you can put Muslims, you can put many of the other religions into the same boat as well, and I have no problem with that. Jay Jamin said the Hebrews. Okay, so let's go back. So they, meaning the Hebrews, have been bullying and stealing from the beginning. What is UNC, the group, or NDCs? But let's deal with they have been bullying and stealing from the beginning. What I said earlier about Israel being established in 1948 on land that was occupied by Palestinians, non-Hebrews, absolutely. So that would be a case of that, absolutely. And so we understand that. We also understand, and I had to explain to my students that the most of the Jewish people that we know and that we see now would not be what we would consider the original Jewish people, even from the biblical sense. Most of these Jewish people that we see now, especially in the States, we know they are of European descent. And so we just have to make that clear as well. But absolutely, Jay Jam, and thank you for the comments. And so I want to go more into some of the things, some of the negative consequences of Christianity. Um, Next week, it's at the 22nd, next Sunday, I will be speaking at a conference, virtually at a conference out of Canada. And it's called CORT, CORT. It is a organization that deals with religious trauma. And so I will be speaking about the detrimental things, and I have a title, but basically I will be talking about the trauma that marginalized people of color experience through Christianity. And so when I think about it, one of the things, and it's weird when I think about this, one of the things that comes up a lot when I engage in conversations with people who are on the journey that I'm on or have surpassed me on their journey and have made the complete transition away from religion or Christianity, and they look back, one of the things that they oftentimes talk about is the trauma that they experienced as a child. And for me, I never it was just so automatic to me when I heard the stories of burning in hell and those kind of things. I was not as traumatized as I'm hearing some other people are. But when I think about it as an adult, who don't have any kids, but do remember my niece and nephew when they were really young. They're adults now, but thinking about telling them those stories and thinking about what that may have done to them, hearing those stories. And so when you tell kids stories about heaven and hell and the burning hell, and if you don't do this, you're going to be in hell, and the pictures that you see and the visuals, all of that. We also talk about some of the sexual exploitation and sexual mistreatment that goes on, priests to kids and ministers. And we've had these discussions here before. But all of these are part of the negative consequences of religion, and in particular Christianity and Catholicism, which is Christianity as well. But we talk about all of this. And so we do this, and I say this not because I am necessarily anti-Christian or anti-religion. I'm more so pro humanity, humanist. And I'm only anti-religion or anti-Christianity when it is harming other people. And so we've experienced a whole lot of that. So I don't want people to get it twisted. But this is what this show is about. This show is about, in part, exposing the negatives that come from religion, in particular Christianity, because again, I've been a part of Christianity. And so those of you, the parents that are out there, think about the stories that you tell your kids. Think about what you allow your kids to see from the standpoint of eternal punishment for doing things that their human bodies cannot control from doing things that are natural to all of us. Even thought sins. I mean, there are thought sins. I mean, Um, okay, I'm still here. I thought I was going. I'm going in and out. Hopefully, you can still hear me. Let me know. Make sure you can still hear me. But and so those are the things I want our parents and uncles and aunties and grandparents to think about when we're teaching our kids or trying to teach our kids um, about Christianity and those type things. Papa Soul Searcher, glad to have you. Said PC panel and chat. Oh, what is PC panel and chat? But glad to have you here, Papa Soul Searcher. Let me know. Leave a comment or if you have a question or concern, absolutely put it in the chat. But glad to have you here. And so again, those of us who are adults, let's just be mindful of what we tell our kids, how we tell these stories, if we need to tell these stories, if we must tell these stories, because I really can't, it's really traumatizing and abusive. When you really look at it, it is abusive to tell a child that if they do something that in most cases is natural and normal, if they do these things without repenting, without all the other stuff that comes with it, that they will burn in an eternal damnation, in an eternal hell forever after they die. Step outside of your belief system, step outside of you being a Christian or whatever, and just think about from a secular standpoint of telling a child a story like this. And so there are literally organizations that are set up and established to help people get over these type traumas and a lot of these things that they were told when they were kids. I mean, there are people who are seriously going through these type of traumas. I am part of several social media forums, and I've spoken at events, and I've heard people speak at events and talk about these particular traumas. So this is absolutely real, absolutely real. Secondly, so not only are we telling these stories, and these stories are harmful and make our kids fearful, they're also false. I mean, we're flat out lying to our kids when we talk to them about the biblical hell or the biblical heaven. There is absolutely zero evidence that the biblical version of hell or heaven exists. As a matter of fact, we can do research and trace and track back to where we start seeing and hearing and reading about the images, the current images that we have of hell. Even in the Old Testament, the idea, the current idea of what we have of hell did not exist. It is not in the Old Testament. If the Bible is your source, and so we don't want to lie to people. We don't want to lie to young people. We don't want to have them under a false illusion of this kind of stuff. Again, that's another negative consequence of religion and Christianity. It has you telling stories and living in a non reality. As a full grown adult with reasonable um, faculties and ability to be rational, think about the things that you were told, and now as a reasonable adult, think objectively. Do you believe that snakes can talk and donkeys can fly and that a person can live in the belly of a whale for 3 days, so forth and so on? And then I get the individuals who come on and say, well, that's analogy or that's metaphoric. Which one? Which story? Is because here's the thing: if the talking serpent or the talking snake is metaphoric, then it completely destroys Christianity from its basis. Because if that really didn't happen, then there is no basis for Jesus coming back. There's no basis for his crucifixion and resurrection, because it was because of the talking serpent that man fell into sin. So without that, there is no man falling into sin. There's no such thing as sin. There is no need for a Jesus to return and to be crucified and to be resurrected. Therefore, there is no Christianity. And so so those who engage in these dialogues and have these discussions, whenever a believer comes to you and decides to cherry pick the stories that sound the most ridiculous, they tend to label those as metaphoric or an analogy. I would certainly ask them, well, which ones are you talking about? Certainly, you're not talking about the talking serpent, because if you are, that completely destroys your faith, and there's no reason for you to believe how you believe if the talking serpent in the Garden of Eden is metaphoric. So absolutely. So again, we deal with the illusions, we deal with the trauma, and I think thirdly, for what's really important for us as African Americans is the racism that is attached to Christianity. And I always say this. I wrote this in my book, and I say this all the time, that Western Christianity is the religious arm of white supremacy. And so one of the questions that I posited, Jay Jam, that's absolutely awesome. We will get back to that in just a second. But one of the questions that I posed to my students in my class was, and I have a few. I think I have about 4 or 5 African American students. One of the questions I posed to African Americans and the women in my class, looking at Christianity, looking at Judaism, Islam, all of it, how can we, as African Americans, how are we comfortable in this faith, in this religion, when we know that it has been used to enslave us, when we know it has been used to subjugate women, and when we know that there is little to no objective comments condemning these actions. As a matter of fact, slavery is actually condoned in the Bible in various books and scriptures, as well as the subjugation of women. And so, again, this is something that we need to think about. That we probably didn't, at least our generation didn't think about when we were kids. Most of us understood the connection between Christianity, imperialism, and colonialism, and slavery and religion. But we never really questioned it. We just, what most of us do is say, well, these are individuals who did individual acts and used the Bible as a tool. But when you look even deeper, ask yourself, why is there not anything written by this so-called God that specifically condemns enslaving, owning another person? And it's not there. Why is there so much stuff in this Bible that subjects women? So again, you ask yourself, child sacrifice, all these other stuff, rape, all these things that's in the Bible. Why is there not something that specifically condemn these actions by this all-knowing, all-powerful God, who certainly knew that the Bible was going to be used as a tool for all of these things? can hear me. I apologize. Something went wrong with the internet. It's not really raining. You know what's going on. Let me get back to where I was. Can you guys hear me? Jay Jamin, back to his comments. He said the Trinity too. Yeah, we talked about that. Father, Son, and no mother. Absolutely. That makes zero sense. In most of the other religions prior to Christianity and even since Christianity, there is always the three there, the man, the woman, and the child or whatever. Here you have the Holy Ghost, who is non-gendered, I guess, and the Son and the Father. That should raise all kind of questions. Papa Soul Searcher, that's correct, Willie. Hell isn't mentioned as a place you go when you die. Absolutely. Again, people need to read. Again, they have no clue. Sheol, absolutely. Jay Jam and Sheol, Hades means a hole in the ground. There's a place that they burn trash at in part. So absolutely. Papa Soul Searcher said yes. I mean, that means you can hear me. So I'm glad that I'm able to come back. I apologize again. That was a brief issue, but we are back now. Want to continue to talk about the negative consequences of Christianity, and I am specific to Christianity because I want to be, but you can say all religions. I do this for a reason, Christianity for a reason. So yeah. One of the things that oftentimes I talk about with Christianity, especially for African Americans, is that it gives us low self-esteem. I mean, it's just, it tells us from the very beginning that we are wretched, that we are worthless, that we are nothing without this imaginary God in the sky, and that we can do nothing. Even to the point, all our hard work, all the sacrifice we make, we give all of the credit to this God. But what's even more amazing is that when things go wrong, when things go bad, we blame ourselves. If this God is going to take all the credit for the good and he's all powerful, all knowing, all everything, why doesn't he take the credit for the bad? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Texas God is, hey, how you doing? Yeah, Taisha is with us. She is here. She's in the background. She's listening. I think she's cooking. So yeah. So absolutely glad to have you there. Yeah, so that's one of the things I think the whole self-esteem issue with us is problematic. It is a bigger issue than we let on to be. We are mentally beat down from birth in this religion, telling us that we're worthless and that we're wretched and that we're absolutely nothing without this God and this Jesus. It is just amazing that we fall into this. So many of us, regardless of our hard work that we do, we still give credit to this God, and so that's a problem. Texas Goddess says we have been told that we are filthy rags. Absolutely, Texas Goddess. I heard it all growing up as a believer in Alabama, going to church every Sunday and Wednesdays and all through the summer and all of that. Heard all of it. And so many of our people believe that, and it creates in our kids low self-esteem. And so I talked about this, and I want you all to sort of follow and help me to connect the dots. Watch me connect the dots. Telling your kids at an early age that they are wretched, that they are worthless, that they are filthy rags, and that the only thing that can save them, or the only thing that makes them worth something, is this imaginary God or this Jesus. That's point one and point two. Point three is now, as an image of this God or Jesus, what is it that they see? They 9 times out of 10, generally speaking, up until very recent, they see an image of this God or Jesus that don't look like them, who does not look like them, who resembles the oppressor, right? So now you've told them that they're wretched and that they're worthless and they're rags and that they're nothing. You told them that the only way that they are something and worth something is because of this God or this Jesus. And then you show them the imagery of a white God or white Jesus. And so now they grow up believing that they are worthless because of the color of their skin. And then they believe that the people around them who look like them are also worthless. And so that in part explains why we treat each other the way we treat each other, because we don't have a high self-esteem. We don't believe us to be worthy. So we certainly don't believe others around us that look like us to be worthy. And then, so now we're looking for redemption. We're looking for um, we're looking for white people to praise us, to okay our behaviors, and so we do everything we can to emulate them. And so that's us in a nutshell. That's where we are. This is where some of this starts. If you don't believe me, trace it, track it, understand it. It is the same reason why you on your job, the people around you that look like you who are African American have no problems with working for the manager or supervisor being someone white or of another race, but have all kind of issues in the world with that manager or the supervisor if that manager or supervisor is African American. They have all the problems in the world. Same thing with authority. We have no problem with white police officers or a white person being in authority because we've been conditioned to do that. We've been conditioned to see that. We have no, we treat them differently. We treat them with almost reverence. I've said this and I will say this again, and people can disagree with me and fight me if they want to, but there is a large segment of our people, our African Americans in this country, that have a conscious or subconscious reverence for white, for everything European, for white. And I'm not, this is not, I'm not being racist. I'm not being a bigot or whatever you want to call it. I'm just stating facts. There are a segment, people, a segment of our population that has a reverence, whether it's conscious or subconscious, unknowingly, knowingly or unknowing reverence for anything that is Eurocentric. And that is fact. That is fact. I've seen it, you've seen it, we've experienced it, we've seen it on TV, we've seen it on the media, we've seen it in real life, we've seen it at our jobs, we've seen it at church, we've seen it in school, we've seen it everywhere. And so again, this starts with us going into the church at an early age and people who look like us telling us that we are wretched, that we are nothing, and that we are worthless because of this damn religion that we practice. And we take that into our adult life and we act accordingly, whether it's conscious or subconscious in our behavior. Um, Texas, Jay Jammer said, I agree with you totally. The Christian philosophy is designed that way to deter us from our stolen spirituality. Absolutely. It is absolutely. It is a way that you control people. Um, what they've realized is that the absolute best way to control African Americans is through religion. Because we are so devout and because we believe I'm not saying this in our actions, but in our mind, in our brains, we believe that we are pious as can be, that we are extremely pious people, especially in our thought. Not necessarily in all our actions, but in our thoughts. And so they understand that this religion, and they've used this religion for 400 years to control us, control our actions, control how we move, control where we go. Because the first thing they do when they think that we're getting out of pocket, and it's not even them being white people anymore, us too, black people. The first thing they do when they think that we collectively are getting out of pocket, they return us back to the Bible. Well, the Bible says this, and the Bible says that. Are you living by that? Are you living by that? And we come together and we fall right back in line. It sounds like Taisha unmuted herself and has commented.
Hey, I just want to come in and say you're absolutely right. When it comes to, with black people, as soon as you bring religion and Bible in it, it's like we just turn into these childlike characters. When you think about court, when you go to court, there's so many lies that go, back and forth in court. But when we come in there, they want us to put our hand on the Bible and swear or affirm, and it's like you're supposed to tell, or God's going to punish you, God's going to get you, and if you are found guilty or whatever, it's God punishing you for lying. But it's like there's so many lies that go back and forth. If you're honest and truthful, just because that's what you're raised to be, honest and truthful, and that goes back to childhood when like our mothers ours in particular, yours and mine, who use the Bible as if they didn't feel like picking up the belt, they picked up the Bible, and God gonna get you, God looking for you, and stuff like that. And it's like it's just another form of abuse, and it carries over into adulthood. So you're absolutely right with that.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we have to be mindful with the low self-esteem and then how we treat other people who look like us because we don't feel worthy ourselves. Also, another one of the things I talk about all the time in this religion is that we have this misplaced love with this God and this Jesus, and what we don't realize is that what we have is a abusive relationship with this God is Jesus. It is really extortion. So listen, just hear me out with this. If I'm a shop owner, I own a business, and the neighborhood mafia guy walks in and said, "Listen, you give me $10,000 a month, and this place won't burn down. But if you don't give me $10,000 a month, this place will burn down." So he's not doing you a favor. So you pay him $10,000 to keep him from burning the place down. That's the relationship that we have with God. This Abrahamic God walks in and says, if you don't fall to your knees, praise me, and say, I'm your only God, I'm your God, then I'm going to burn you in hell forever. But if you do that, then you're not going to burn in hell forever. He's not doing us a favor. That's extortion. It is extortion. And I have this debate, especially with one particular believer that follows me on Facebook. Her and I went to school together, college together. And she's a devout believer. And I said this to her in a comment. I said the relationship you have with your God is basically extortion. And so she started this whole thing about, they always go into this, well, we have choice, we have free will. We have free will. I say it's not free will when the consequences are eternal damnation if you don't do a particular thing. That's not free will. It's just like if I had a child and my child said, Dad, I want to go out and I want to go on this date with this guy. And let's say it's a daughter, let's say it's a son. And for whatever reason, I said, no, I don't want you to go on this date. But listen, okay, you can go on this date. But if you go on this date, you come back home, all your stuff is going to be outside and you're not going to have a place to live. That's not really free will because the consequences of that action is not natural and normal consequences. So now my child is like, well, I really can't because I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to be living on the street. It's the same thing with this God. This God is telling you, if you don't bow down to me, then I'm going to burn you forever. But if you do bow down to me, then I won't burn you forever. That's not love. That's not that. None of us would do that to our child. None of us would say, if you don't tell everybody that I'm your mother and that you love me dearly, I will lock you in a basement and turn the heat up to 150 and you would spend the rest of your life there. No parent in their right sane mind would do that. So that makes us more moral than this Abrahamic God that many of our people worship. So it's crazy. Jay Jamin said, Willie, would you please consider inviting Jeremiah Camara and Dr. Ray Higgins to this show? I would absolutely. Taisha's laughing. I trust you. I promise you, she's laughing because
Yes.
she has said that before because I know Jeremiah. I met Jeremiah. We had lunch. We were introduced by a mutual friend. I actually quote him in my book. And so I've tried to reach out to Jeremiah. I haven't seen any of his stuff lately, so I'm going to try to reach out to him again. As far as Dr. Ray Higgins, I started following him many years ago. When I first started this journey, he was one of the first people that I started listening to. And I think he is local here in Atlanta. And I know Jeremiah lives probably 30, 40 minutes from where I live. And so, yeah, I would, Jay Jam, and I appreciate that. And I would absolutely try. I told Taisha that I would, and I did try, so I would try again.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
We're gonna all agree and we're gonna pray on it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, most definitely, I would try to get both of them on here. I think like I said, I called Jeremiah, left a message, and I texted him. He responded to my text about something else. It was something about the book. We both were interviewed by the Freedom from Religious group, and he's actually on the board, and I was interviewed by the founder. So yeah, so we would definitely reach out to Jeremiah and Dr. Ray Higgins. I would love to have them. You will see me just sit back and listen, because it'll be wonderful. It'll be beautiful to have them come on here. Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate that. Yeah, and so again, the abusive relationship that we have with this Abrahamic God and the extortion that we find ourselves in, that we don't know is going on. I always want to make that clear to our people. Again, just to have our people to think, just for a minute, please just think about what we're doing, and let's just not be mechanical about how we do it, because this is what has been ingrained in us. And then in my book, I talk about in the book. Let me show the book, because I've been saying in my book. Some of you may not have heard of it, but it's can you see? Can you see? Can we see? From Saved to Sane: My Journey Away from Christianity. Why Christianity has been detrimental to the African American community. You can pick this up, Willie Cartwright, on Amazon. You can get it from Amazon, or you can send me a message and with your information, and I'll send you my Cash App, $19.99 Cash App, and I will send you a signed copy of the book. But in the book, I'm specific about certain things that through Christianity and other religions, in particular Christianity, that has been detrimental to our community. One of the first things I talk about is the finances and our financial resources. So again, one of the negative consequences of Christianity is that it drains our community of its financial resources. And again, I'm not telling you what I've heard. I'm telling you what I've experienced. Not only me personally, my wife and I for many, many, many years. But I think what's worse and what is more abusive is when the people in our community that have little means are drained of their financial resources, because they are made to believe that their life is somehow going to get better if they give and continue to give and give and give and give. I watched my mother do that for many, 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 many years, when she literally had nothing. When my sister and I literally had to subsidize her living, and she would even take some of that money and put it into the church. And I think it's at one point I said to her, I said, "Mom, God know you broke. God know you need that money to pay the light bill. I don't understand why you running down to the church and taking this money. You've been doing this forever, and your life hasn't gotten any better." Now, mind you, I was a lot older. I never would have said this to my mother as a child, because she would have killed me. But yeah, but it's one of those things. And so when I see this in our communities, when I see um, the elderly and people of little means running to the church and giving their last to the church, especially when it is implied or even specifically told to them that the more they give, the better their life would be. If they sow a seed, they will see the blessings, and it never happened. I've seen, I'm old enough to have seen many, many people from the time that I was a child in a church giving every Sunday. And I am old enough to see those people now who are well up in age, elderly, for the ones who haven't passed away, and to see that their condition has not changed at all, that their financial, social, economic conditions have not changed at all. In many cases, and in most cases, it has gotten worse. And so I am old enough to see that. And it's just one of those things. I just shake my head. I think Generation Z and the younger generation, they see that, they've seen that from their parents and their grandparents, and they don't want any parts of that. But I think it is completely asinine. It is abusive. What our churches do to our community and our people of little means. And then when they need something, and I have stories. Taisha has stories. When they need something, they're not able to go to these churches and get the help that they need. There's always some kind of excuse, or some kind of caveat or whatever it is. And so it is really, really difficult. It is difficult to watch that and see that. JJ Hammond said, will you please put this book title in the description? Absolutely, I will. I will put it in there while I'm gonna try to put it in there while I talk.
Yeah, this
um,
you're absolutely right. Like, there's no perk to this membership. I think I did a video on this back in the day, or if not, this would be a great title for our upcoming videos. Like, I still do not know what the perks of the membership is. Like, what are the perks? What are the return of investments? We know what the perks to having what is it, a AAA card, or an AARP membership and stuff like that, Kroger Plus card, but there's no perks to that membership.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And so, but the perks are what they tell you is going to happen when you die. So you never realize the perks while you are alive. And so it is actually a fantastic business model. They tell you that and I'm trying to type too. They tell you that you're going to receive this great reward, but first you have to die. But in the meantime, while you're alive, you need to give all of your resources, your time, your efforts, your finances, your talents, whatever it is. You need to give that now, and in hopes of when you die, you're going to receive this mansion, and you're going to walk on streets of gold, and you're going to have milk and honey for the rest of your life, so forth and so on. So yeah, it is wild that this is something that still is plaguing our community. But along with it being a fantastic business plan, the process is second to none. They indoctrinate you extremely early. It is passed down from generation to generation. It plays on our hopes and our fears. They need for us to continue to be sick, poor, depressed, mentally ill, because those are the ones that fill the church. Those are the people that fill the church because they play upon those things. The church is much like a hospital. It's full of people who are sick and in need. And as long as our community are in are in that situation, many of us are in that situation, we will go run into the church because we have nothing. We believe that we have nothing else. And the church is telling us that I have the answer, when in actuality, that is a placebo. It is not real. It is all in our mind. When we go to church and we pray and we do these things, and miraculously something happens that we've been praying for, or we get something that we have been praying for, we're like, oh, okay, this works. Prayer works. God is real. But we forget the 7 or 8 other times out of 10 that we have prayed or asked for something and it never came to fruition. I said this, and I said this last week. Praying is like baseball. Those of you who are familiar with baseball is a sport. It is the only thing in the world that you are considered a success if you go 3 out of 10. It is the only thing. If you make 3 out of 10 on the test, you fail. If you go 3 out of 10, if you win 3 out of every 10 games in football or basketball, you are a failure. If you get 3 hits out of 10 baseball for a substantial amount of your career, and your career is long enough, chances are you become a Hall of Famer. And so Christianity and prayer is like that. It's like, well, forget about the 7 times that I prayed to God and he did not answer my prayer. But these 3 times over here, oh, he's a winner. God is the man. He is absolutely all powerful. But you forgot the 7 times that you struck out. So now God goes 3 for 10 and he's a Hall of Famer. He's the greatest thing ever. Your parents or your spouse or your significant other bail you out 9 times out of 10, but you remember that 1 time out of 10 that they were not able to assist you, and now they're a bad person. But you don't subscribe to that same train of thought to your God. And I tell people, okay, I said, let's do a test right now. What is something that you really, really need? I'm not even talking about something that you want, but that's something that God knows you need. And let's pray for it and see what happens. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So praying and Christianity and this God is like baseball. the 3 out of 10, we superstars, we're Hall of Famers, but that 7 out of 10, we forget about that. We sweep that up on the rug. That doesn't mean anything. And so I'm going to finish putting this Titus book. Well, that's pretty much it from Same to Same, my journey away from Christianity. And let me add my name to it. See. Thank you, Taisha.
Hey, I know it by heart.
Taisha, yeah, thank you, Taisha. Yeah, so Jay Jammin, that's the title of the book. You can get it on Amazon. Like I said, you can contact me. I will put my email address in here. You can I think I can do that. And you can contact me, and I'll send you my Cash App, and you can we can get it that way if you want a signed copy. So it's wocartwright@yahoo.com. Hit me up, let me know that you want to get a signed copy. I'll send you the Cash App. You can send me, and then we'll send you out a signed copy. So that'd be great. Thank you, Taisha, for doing that. You see, so I keep telling y'all, I between Taisha and my wife, I don't know where I'll be. I'll be somewhere just hanging out. I need both of them. So it's 7:00, and are there any questions or comments that we can take right before we leave? We get out of here, but want to thank all of you for joining Jay Jammin. Thank you so much. I don't know if it was your first time, but certainly appreciate it. I would absolutely reach out to Dr. Ray Hagan and Jeremiah. I would definitely try to reach out to them. Papa Soul Searcher, Texas Goddess, all of you who joined us, thank you so much. And a special thanks to our guest, Taisha. Absolutely, thank you so much. And we appreciate you joining. Any last comments from you, Taisha?
No, just want to say another great discussion this week. So happy I was able to join, and thank you for what you do. And congrats on teaching. I didn't know that you were actually teaching. I knew you were in school, but yeah, congrats on that. And shout out to everybody here. Thank you for supporting. Definitely go pick up Save to Save, My Journey Away from Christianity, sold on Amazon, and you will definitely enjoy it. And it's, like I said before, it's like reading someone is just reading your own thoughts. You're like, me too, I went through that, so it's definitely a great book to refer to and actually get that confirmation that no, you're not crazy, you're on your way to becoming sane. So great title.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you want to talk about where they can follow you on some of your channels?
Yes, I'm on all social media platforms as Taisha Essex, spelled right here on my name title. And I've taken a break from YouTube, but I definitely miss it. I miss content creating. I came up with a couple of new titles today, so I've taken a hiatus. Our daughter's coming up on a year old.
All right.
Yeah, like I just had her yesterday, and spending this time with family, learning her and cherishing those moments. So now I'm getting back to a place where it's time to create and share this journey, and I'm still, staying strong, and we grow and we change every day. So I have some different viewpoints now that I've done experience, living in the South.
And living in the South.
In the South.
In the South. Yeah, with an F.
Yeah, so that's definitely an experience. And brother, we'll have to connect with you off the line. I got some ideas for you, some news as well. And yeah, we're gonna keep on building. Happy to be here, and I would definitely be back on future broadcasts. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And guys, go check out Taisha. Her even the old stuff is not that. If you've never seen it, then absolutely check it out. So we appreciate that. We are out of here. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you all. Jay Jammin, this is the second time. Great. All right.